guilty of crime.
Talk about a pop-up. Hello, everybody. I am Jay with Guilty of Crime, and we're back. All right. We made it to Tuesday, huh? Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and get a membership if you can. As the Stephan Sterns pre-trial hearing, we're going to see what happens. We don't know if it's going to be streamed. It probably will be, but we also don't know if Stephan Sterns is going to even show up, right? He's only ever showed up to one, and with all these motions flooding the courts and flooding us, everybody's in a tizzy, like, oh no, the pictures might get kicked out. What's gonna happen then? These are all formalities. I really, truly don't think that his phone pictures, anything that came from his phone, he handed over to that lady. We're going to go over that today because we have a video that shows that. I think that one is on the video I'm showing, but it was real slick. It was like, hey, my guy, can I see your phone real quick? And he hands it over, and then he immediately thinks, oh, shit. I wonder if that reset I did 2 times on it worked. Oh no, well, my dad needs to get a hold of me. Oh no, my guy. That's what Jen's phone's for. Your dad can get a hold of Jen. Well, I don't know. Oh no, you're good. We'll go back to you later. It's just gonna be a little, a little something. All right. So there's so many different things, you guys. There's so many different motions. That's like just one, okay? And I'm turning my phone off because you guys keep texting while I'm on. And it's literally the mods. I love you guys, but it's like a bunch of LOLs, and it's like, who's texting? All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Woods Whisper says hello to Gothic Brina. You got a fan. What's up, Patty? How you doing? Chumba, good to see you back. There's Bree, Foxy Amazon. They have a separate subpoena for his Google account. Yes, thank you. Thank you for saying that because, as we're starting, obviously, that's very obvious that he also had a Google Cloud and he also had a freaking hard drive in his dad's garage. So there you go. There's a whole bunch of things, but when you see how smooth that officer was with him and him saying yes, he gave her consent. He gave it to her. He just doesn't consent now because it didn't delete all of his stuff. So these are all formalities. We're going to talk about some of them. I don't have 2 hours today. I have an hour and a half. And so I want to go over talking to you. Will the judge approve Stephan Sterns' motions? Now he's begging for his life. What about Maddie's? And then we're going to do something fun with the Paula video where you're the judge, jury, and executioner. What would you think that's going to happen? So we'll do the best we can in the amount of time that we have. Hello, everybody. Good to see you guys. Everyone's kind of rolling in. I sure hope we get to see the trials, you say. Yeah, and I'm just going to kind of go over, and I had to thank Bree for giving me notes on some of the motions that are just insane and stupid. Just stupid, just a complete waste of time. And I'm also going to explain to you, if you don't know, what a speedy trial is and should you waive it. or should he waive it? And now a speedy trial is going to mean something different for Florida versus California. There's some different little rules on there. So I'm going to go over that with you. And my initial thing, everybody, hold up. My initial thing was he's doing this because he didn't waive his right to a speedy trial. That's why everything's coming so quick. That's why everybody's like, "Oh, trials come." We had all these trial dates set. Do you remember? Do you remember when there were other dates set and people were anxiously awaiting pre-trial or trial, and everyone keeps saying, "You coming to trial, Jay?" It's happening. No, it's not. It's not happening yet. And we're going to slow down the process with these ridiculous motions. Now, I'm not saying some of them aren't going to go through, but the ones that do aren't going to really matter. But it really is just going to slow the judge down. Take the time, come back, deny them, send them back. Go, yeah, that. That's what's going to happen. Oh wow, my thing started blinking for a second. What's up, Ashley? Good to see you. Hey Jay, Mods, and Glam Crew. Yeah, good to see all you guys. Val, Sadie's mama, Foxy Amazon always gets on there. Indy Isham, right? Hey Carrie, how you doing? Yeah, meander down 192. It was 36 degrees in San Jose, and that's freezing for us out here, you guys. California, 36 degrees were like icicles coming off of us. So, yeah, crazy. I don't know where you are, but what's up, Scary 420? And Roy, good to see you. Charlie, hit the thumbs up. And Janet Rawlings never gets notification. That's really weird because I did a notification just today at like noon. I put it up to make sure everybody sees it. So, very interesting that you guys aren't getting notifications. Now, Deborah Bergen says the motions are concerning. The way the female detective handled the phone thing. Deborah, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna have to agree to disagree with you. The way the officer handled the phone thing was brilliant. It was brilliant. He 100% consented to her taking his phone. As a matter of fact, the only thing he said was, because he didn't want to look guilty, was, "Oh, my dad needed to get a hold of me." "Oh, no, 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 Jen, it's okay. Jen's phone, he can call Jen's phone." And you know who he bitched to? He bitched about it to Jen Soto. After they left, he said, "I didn't want to give my phone. When am I getting my phone back?" He didn't say that to the officer. He didn't say to the officer, "You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm looking for my stepdaughter, okay? I'm looking for my stepdaughter. I need my phone, and if you want it, you're gonna have to get a warrant, and you're gonna have to take my phone, because I don't care. My stepdaughter might call me. I know she's out there, and she might call me." That's what he would have said. And that's not what he said at all. He complained to Jan the potato Soto. Okay. So I can tell you right off the bat, if an officer says to you, "Give me your phone," and you hand that over and they talk you into keeping it, it's your fault. If an officer says, "Let me search your pockets," and you let them, and then they find drugs, and then you say, "I didn't let them." Yes, you did, or their hands wouldn't have been in your pocket. Come on. Yes, it was epic. It was epic how sly she was. He gave his phone up. Clearly gave his phone up. I'm just telling you right now. If I go up to an officer and they say, "Can I frisk you?" and I say, "Yeah, sure," and then they find something in my pocket that I'm in trouble for. "Oh, I didn't say yeah. I didn't know." No, 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 no. That's not going to fly with the judge. And none or most of these damn motions. I'll read some of the things to you and some of the most ridiculous things to you. No way a judge is going to let that slide. Yeah, absolutely. Extra spicy. If you caught me on that quick pop up that I did, I had a lot of people on there, but there were people hating on Jay. They were hating on your girl, talking about, they were calling me fat. They were talking about my hair. I don't even know. It made me laugh, but it was like playing whack-a-mole. Every time somebody said something bad, I was like, boop, kick them out, boop, kick them out. So yeah, I'm a little spicy, and it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. I think I drank too much with Tinder. Oh no, you're tipsy. All right, very rude idiots. Yeah, a bunch of haters, just a bunch of random internet people. All right, so let me show you something because I'm not going to go over all these. I just don't have time. I have to be out of here at a certain time to meet with the contractor and to get Reese. So I'm going to show you all these motions. 2025 Stearns 25 2025. I'm just going to pull something up random. Look at how many motions there are. I hope you guys can see that. You see all those motions? All right. Yeah, there's a ton of motions there. And I just want you to see like we have all the paperwork, but I'm just not going to go through it. Yeah, those 7-Eleven mother effers that wanted to talk like trash. Get out of here. You got to go manage a store. Get away from me. We're all good. Love you too, Rebecca. Jammy dial. Yeah. Yeah. It was actually kind of funny. It was kind of funny. All right. So what you missed was really me ranting. Now there's 111 people in chat. So let's say a prayer for Madeline Soto that she gets the complete and utter justice that she deserves, which means that what's going to happen is that Jen Soto is also going to be arrested. So thank you guys. Welcome. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, get a membership, all that kind of stuff. All right. It's all good. I'm not worried about it. We're here for true crime and justice for those that no longer can speak for themselves. I've got thick skin, guys. It's all gravy. All gravy. No, these are not on Patreon yet. But when I get an opportunity, I will. But I haven't got to go through them all. And I don't want to put things out there that I can't take back. All right. So it's all gravy, baby. All gravy. No worries. No worries. All love. We do want to hashtag arrest Jen Soto. So I just want you to see this. This is a bunch of motions. I'm gonna just look. I'm gonna go through the notes that Bree took today through the motions. I'll pull up this instead and we'll just go over it real quick. And then we're gonna get into the video. I'm gonna react to. Maybe I'll make some of you guys laugh. I'm gonna kind of roast some stuff. There I am back. You can see me, my mullet. Someone said I had a mullet earlier too. That was a good one. That was a really good one. I love it. I love it. All right. All right, guys. So I hope you guys did catch my stream earlier, by the way, because I gave some of you crime crew that have been supporting my channel for the last 24 months. I gave you guys an inside look into the real deal of what happens when you got to get construction done to your house and how it gets rebuilt. So thank you. Yeah, I don't really care. I'm just teasing. I'm in a spicy mood. I really don't give a shit about the haters. They've got to really be in a weird mood to be making like say stuff like that, right? Hello from Indiana. What's up? I thought it was a paintbrush. I'm not sure what that meant, but okay. You talk about I don't know what you talk about. All right. So like I don't care. I'm really excited about a lot of things. What I'm excited for is that they're called motions because it's going through the motions. None of them will be found unconstitutional. But at his defense, they can have to go through the motions. And they do. Thank you to Nazca. You know why? Because they're trying to delay the trial. And I'm gonna read that to you after. I'm gonna read what a speedy trial is, and particularly in Florida, because with the felony, you have within 175 days. For a misdemeanor, it's 90 days. So I correct myself. Now, 175 days is almost 6 months, you guys. Almost 6 months. And that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening. Good to see you, Snee. You should go back and watch my live. There's a ton of horror stuff in it for you. Ton of horror stuff. You said butt flu. Jay is not fat. Fit, not fat. Right. Thank you, Ashley. I'm just playing with everybody. But all right, so let me just talk about this real quick. You guys are funny. You guys got something going on in there. Paintbrush, huh? Haters can't affect us California residents. If we're allowed all the noise to get us, we'd never leave, right? If we exactly, Roy Roderick, exactly. You can't hate on California. We wouldn't be able to be around this. So yeah, we're tripping. Haters be hating. It's funny. It's funny. All right, so let's talk about the motions real quick, you guys. I'm going to go over those, talk about a speedy trial, and then we're actually going to get into a quick Why is Stephan Sterns begging for his life? Now, I want to do that with court authorities because he knows what he's talking about and he's a lawyer. And then we're going to go over the many motions and you guys are going to decide. And there's a quick missing interview with a friend that we're going to talk about. Now, Stephan Sterns' lawyer is being very aggressive, which is that means she's a good lawyer. Okay. She's being aggressive, she's being active, and she's filing motions like she should to slow things down. So let me get into I can't see your guys' comments. So hopefully everything's all good in chat. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Okay, so number one, listen up. They're asking for the court reporter to document the race of all people who are considered for jury duty. Okay, and I'm not going to sit there and discuss everything single one. There's just some dumb ish that they're filing. Like it's things that like who cares? Go ahead and do that, and then other things that are like what the heck, Chumba? I haven't seen you in a while, Lori. Yeah, not aggressive, thorough. There you go. But this is what that's what Plunder called it. So we're gonna say that. But it's the defense. It's the defense doing this. So I'd rather call the defense aggressive because we don't like the defense. We want the prosecution to win. California girls, they're undeniable. Right. You guys know what's up. Love Cali, right? I had that song in my head earlier when we were out there. When I was walking, I was like, California, we know how to party. We do. And they're haters. They don't want to, they can't hang. So, yeah, they didn't come in here. So we're good. My man is from Cali. Well, where are you? All right, let's talk about the motion. So they're asking for people to document the races. That's what the document says, literally. They're asking for statements of impact that will okay, they're asking for statements of the impact the execution of Sterns would have on their family members. So, if it's going to have impact on their family members, now we're talking about the motions for the taking of Maddie's life here. I believe, I don't think they're all mixed in. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can pull one up right now. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure it's plaintiff versus Stephan Sterns, and it's the death penalty one. So it's the one for taking Maddie's life, you guys. We're not even talking about the CSAM stuff. They're asking for no victim impact statements at the end of trial. How ridiculous is that, you guys? How ridiculous is it to okay, you guys, can I tell you something? Opening statements, closing statements, and victim impact statements. Those are the most or some of the most important parts of a trial. They're asking to take out the victim impact statements, which helps with the sentencing, and especially if it's a death penalty sentencing, okay? So I don't even need you to see this. I'm gonna put up what's a speedy trial on there, but so no victim impact statements, guys. That's where the victims say what Stephan Sterns did to Maddie, and then they can present to the jury how bad it affected their lives, etc. I'm gonna put this up because what we're talking about, in my opinion, why Stephan Sterns' team is doing this is because a speedy trial is not what he waived. So, Sixth Amendment Constitution, United States, all criminals shall enjoy the right to a speedy trial. Every person charged with the crime in the United States has a constitutional right, to be brought to a trial in a speedy manner, meaning it's not going to take 5 years, you guys. All right. It won't take 5 years like the Brian Koberger case or some of the other ones. So, but in Florida, the speedy trial rules are laid out in the Florida criminal procedure. Every person charged shall be brought to trial within, or unless a person waives their right. For a misdemeanor, it's 3 months, and for a felony, it's almost 6 months. So since Stephan Sterns didn't do that, now they're panicking. Why would I waive my right to a speedy trial? I'll tell you that in a minute. But let's talk about some more of the motions. Boy, he's stuck on himself, right? Yeah, he's definitely is. He definitely is. Good to see you, MM. Good to see you. Robin says the sad part is the public grieves for more Maddie than Maddie's mother. Hashtag arrest Jen Soto. Yes. And I wish I could tell you a story about the Soto family, but I can't right now. Maybe later on down the road I can. Just know they don't like me. Okay. Now, another motion, they want all evidence to be removed and all statements that make people feel bad for the deceased and vilify Mr. Stephan Sterns. Now, I've never called him Mr. Stephan Sterns before, okay? I just want you guys to understand that I've never called him Mr. I call him Satan Sterns, Demon Sterns, whatever you want to call it. He wants anything, any wording to come out that vilifies Stephan Sterns in this trial or makes him look bad, you guys. Any evidence to be removed from the statements that make people feel bad for the deceased. And the deceased is Madeline Soto, you guys. It's Madeline Soto. He doesn't want us. What? I don't know. How is that even possible? How is that possible? Yes. Fire up old Sparky. How can that even happen? Yes. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I could do that without my button that everyone uses. Oh, hell no. You can't do that. You can't make somebody not feel bad for what Madeline went through for years. No. Oh, hell no. Foxy Amazon, thank you. And maybe you guys could jump on the train. Choo choo as the money bleeds from guilty of crime. All right, thank you guys. Yeah, you know we're a fan-funded channel, so all donations will go back to support the channel. And of course, the host that takes the time to do the channel. So thank you guys. All right, let's go. Keep going. All right, that's ridiculous. Now, they're also trying to impose the prosecution from using witness statements or testimony from other witnesses in preparing witnesses to testify or give statements and from preparing witnesses together. What the fuck are they talking about? What are they even talking about? What? What? Yeah, lock him up with Diddy. What are you talking about? What is the fuck are you? What does that even mean, bro? Like you brutally raped this girl since she was a little tiny girl that was trusting you to care for her, and you did the unthinkable, most awful, heinous things, and he's asking for that. What? Thank you, Bree. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. Choo choo. If you guys have the means to donate, if you don't, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. Thank you. I just don't understand how you could even ask for that. They're also trying to ask the court to keep any prospective jurors who may have reservations, whether religious or not, against the death penalty as options, and asking that they not be excused from jury duty. What the what do you what? They are trying to also ugh, these are all motions, right? These are all motions, and I think deny. They're trying to say that even prospective jurors with a criminal background should be considered for jury duty. That by excusing them because a criminal record would violate Mr. Stern's from the fundamental right to trial by a jury drawn from a fair trial. So anybody normally that has a legal background and knows the law or certain things, they could actually wreck that. They could wreck a trial because they could say, "Well, I know that law in my head. I know that law, and that law, right?" Because there's ins and outs of the law that aren't fair, but they're in place for a reason. Thank you so much for the 99-cent super sticker. Choo choo. Yeah, guys. Phone reports. There's so many of them. There's so many of them, and they're so ridiculous. And number one, they're gonna throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. Right? When you're in that much trouble and you're looking at the death penalty and you have 35,000 pictures or whatever that is, you're gonna throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. You're gonna hope that the dog doesn't have the runs that day, or it's gonna just run down the wall. But more than likely, it's just gonna bounce off the wall, and we're gonna keep going because all these motions, yeah, they're just to make Stephan Sterns look good, you guys. And there's no way to make him look good if you know what he did, right? If you know what he did, there's no way to do that. So keep riding that train, baby. Choo choo. Thank you, Rebecca, for the $3 super sticker. I appreciate you. Love to you, girl. All right, so let's talk about some more emotions, and more things will come out. We'll talk about as we go. They're asking that no experts be in the presence of jurors. Could you imagine that, folks? Could you imagine no experts being in front of the jurors? Yes, 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 yes. Denied, denied, denied. Imagine that. Imagine an expert coming in and say, the only way you can break a hyoid bone is if you put X amount of weight down and it was broken from this way. And so you'd have to do this. And, she had this much in her toxicology report. So that means these experts are expert after expert. It has to be lots of different kinds of expert witnesses that come in, forensics, whatever. This is just insane. And yeah, you guys, I know I'm on fire today. Yeah, what did Maddie get all these rights? No experts. No experts can be in front of the jury. That's what they're asking for. Motion denied. Next. And you guys asked why I'm fired up. I'm fired up because I've been covering this case since shortly after it started. And this stuff's ridiculous, you guys. Absolutely ridiculous. And yes, I'm on fire about it. I'm very passionate about this case. And when we're coming so close with these stupid motions, yeah, I'm going to be on fire. Absolutely. Absolutely on fire. Deny that motion. Get that shit out of here. Now, Stephan Sterns moves the court in limine for ruling directing the state to refrain from making improper comments in the penalty phase closing arguments. Denied. How do you know what's proper and improper in the closing arguments? Is it improper to say that he brutally raped this girl for, let's say, even 5 years, and then wrote this weird love poem and then strangled her and then had her in the trunk all day and then dumped her and then went and revisited her body? Is that going to be allowed in closing statements? Is it going to be that oh, wow. Okay, I'm sorry. I know I just went blurry. That was Maddie. Prayers for Maddie. All right. Is that going to get out? Is that going to come out? Because closing statements, you guys, are one of the most powerful statements besides opening. Opening and closing are just the things that hit you, right? It's like when I start a show and when I finish a show, I want to start and I want to come in hot and get your attention. And then in between that, I want to make sure I'm laying out evidence from experts. Yes, we want to have witnesses, but is a kid on the stand going to be able to be a witness that's going to give you good information that Maddie didn't even talk to you about? No. So get out of here. Denied. Denied. Absolutely ridiculous. Next. And these aren't all of them. I showed you how many there are. I told you my time constraints today. So that's where we are. Now, the defendants filed the motion to maintain any and all objections to use of victim impact evidence in its entirety. What does that even mean? They filed a motion to maintain that all objections to use of victim impact evidence in its entirety. What does that mean? You can't object to the evidence at all? What? What does that even mean? Denied. And then hashtag arrest Jen Soto. Well, I don't even understand why he's what? You huh? All right, whatever. Keep going. The defense is asking that Sterns be free from restraints. No, friends. Do you remember that suitcase Sarah wanted to be framed because she was representing herself initially? She wanted to not have handcuffs on and only leg shackles, and she was going to cover it up with her pants. Well, this fool's asking to not have shackles on. This monster is asking to not have shackles and not have visible handcuffs. Absolutely not. You know what? He's one of the biggest monsters I've ever seen in the history of true crime. Period. I mean, he would have kept on doing it, not only to Maddie, but to other children, and he already had other children. So absolutely not. He needs to get that denied. He should look like the monster that he is. We're not going to hear him speak. That fool's not going to speak at all. So what? He wants to be free from restraints and able to use writing instruments during the trial. Is he going to write another love note to Maddie while he's up there? Or what is he doing? He's writing in his diary to talk about what happened during trial? No, denied. Now, next motion. And these are the ones that stand out. The defense is asking the court to compensate the jurors their current wages and for reimbursement for primary caregivers for daycare during the trial. What and why? What and why? The only thing I can say, you guys, again, we're just slowing things down. I don't understand what and why. I can understand why. I think he's doing that because he wants it to go faster. He actually did not sign a document to waive his right to a speedy trial. So he thought it was going to go quick. He wanted to get in, get out, and not get dirty like Madeline did, right? Madeline got very dirty the whole entire time. And most of the time, she didn't even know what was happening because she was so de-rugged up, right? What is even happening here? Like, I mean, just the nerve. I already do not like his attorney. But then you see this, and no human mind is prepared for what they're going to see. They're going to see this, and then they want to take out the language that goes along with it and not make Stephan Sterns look like the monster that he is. Again, he's one of the biggest monsters in the history of our times, in our lifespan. You guys, I hope you know that because this is going to go down in the books of Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy. Now, he may not be a serial killer, but he's definitely a serial rapist. Okay. So, absolutely not. What are you talking about? No. Now, the defense is also requesting disclosure of penalty phase evidence like name and address of all persons known to the prosecution to have information which may be relevant to issue of punishment. Now, why? Why would you do that? Prosecution have information which may be relevant to the issue of punishment. What does that even mean? That one I'm gonna have to come back to because the what the disclosure of penalty phase. Now I understand the penalty phase. Penalty phase is if the death penalty is coming, but what does that mean? I hope after potential jurors are reading this, I don't understand it. I just know there's Clark, there's a whole bunch of crazy emotions that just aren't jiving with anything. Basically, Stephan Sterns is a horrible human being, and he doesn't want the jury to be able to see that. He doesn't want the jury to hear it. He doesn't want experts to tell the jury that he's a disgusting monster and a waste of human space. He wants nothing to do with what he did to Madeline Soto. He doesn't want the jury to know about it. Basically, how could you go into trial without knowing about it? What are you talking about, sir? And you're not a sir, you're a sir demon. All right. Last one I'm going to talk about right now because we're going to keep talking about this stuff. The defense is asking the court to provide them with any information, tangible or not, obtained by potential jurors prior to any issues being raised during jury selection. Why? Why? What does that have to do with anything? Issues being raised during jury selection, asking the court to, why? Why does the defense need to know about issues coming up with them? Why can't they just roll them out, get them out of here, and keep going? I'm not even sure what they're talking about here. I do know what they're talking about, but there's no reason. And that leads me into what is a speedy trial and why are they doing this? Now, if you don't waive the right to a speedy trial, the judge will set your case for a trial within the speedy trial period in Florida for a felony. It's 175 days. So we're at like about 6 months. That sounds about right. It's a little more, but this time frame is often sufficient for your attorney to thoroughly prepare a defense for the case. They're not prepared, guys. They're not prepared. Now we're talking about the CSAM one. That's even worse. They're not prepared for that. They don't have everything going. They don't want the phone to be admitted because of the way the officer smoothly took it. All right. So the defense is limited how it obtains its information. You heard me right. The defense is limited in how it obtains its information. So Stephan Sterns' attorney may have to take depositions, file motions, bam, investigate, obtain evidence from the state. If all of these things are not accomplished within the time frame, you have to go to trial without any information or evidence. Did you guys just hear that? This would benefit the prosecution. They would have to go to trial without information and without evidence. That means they have nothing to fight against. They don't know what the other side's thinking. They don't know what the witnesses are talking about. They don't get to hear what they're recording. Nothing. Yes, it's been almost a year, but they've also waived it and changed it. Every time that we've heard now, he didn't get arrested right away for the taking of her life. But in the beginning, every time there was a trial hearing, Stephan Sterns didn't show up and they pushed out a date. Okay. Now, this is rare. You're never going to get a trial of this magnitude to come at less than 2 to 5 years. I'm telling you guys that right now from the experience that I know. And if I had somebody on here that was an expert, they'd say the exact same thing. All right. No, they already did try to not use the evidence. What are you talking about? They try not to use his phone as evidence. You like true crime. Who likes true crime? Okay, you're right, Jay. That wasn't Sam throughout the judge. Right, right. They're going to ask Jen Soto to be in the pub sub commercial until this happened. You guys are absolutely on fire today, too. You say I got 60 days on a probation violation. I told the judge I can do that on my head. She said, good. We'll make it 120 days on your feet. There you go. There you go. I wish Stephan Sterns would say something stupid like that and watch him catch 2 death penalties, right? Let's speed that death penalty up. Crazy. All right, so in my opinion, that's what's going on. You just heard what I said. If the things are not accomplished in the time frame, pretrial hearing is coming tomorrow. Right after that, they have a certain time frame to schedule the trial. If everything's not accomplished, depositions, listening to the audio, going through the images, going through the evidence, going through the iCloud, going through the text messages, all evidence. They don't get it. They just have to go to trial without it. Right? So, what happens if you're brought to trial with a speedy trial time? If you're not brought to trial within the period and you have not waived your right, you may file a notice of expiration of speedy trial. And you have 5 days from the date you file that notice of expiration. The court shall hold a hearing on the notice, and unless the court finds one of the following, shall order you to be brought to trial within 10 days, guys. 10 days. So that means if they go right now to trial, or even the February or the September 22nd, 2025, and they need more time, they'll have 5 days and then 10. If you're not brought within 10 days, no fault of your own, you can file a motion and the charges shall forever be discharged from the crime. That's interesting. Can I demand a speedy trial? I'm going to quickly go through this just because I want you guys to know what you can do with a speedy trial. You can say, I'd love to, I just don't know where it's being streamed. So I'm going to watch out for that. All right. I'm having a lot of work done at my house tomorrow. I don't know how internet's going to be, but I'm going to try my damnedest, you guys. I'm going to try my damnedest to follow and find out where that is. Right. I'm going to call one of my Florida people after this and find out if they know where it's going to be and who's streaming it. Right. We have more craziness, and good to see you. Okay, so listen up, guys. You can have a speedy trial. You can file a demand for a speedy trial. You say you want to go quick. There's not a lot of evidence. You don't really care because you know all the evidence. You're just going to let your lawyer fight for you. Very rarely will the state not be able to begin a trial. Now, when the state can't begin a trial, that means they're screwed. If they can't start a trial, that means they don't have enough evidence and a jury's not going to probably be able to convict you, right? You can extend periods. There's different things, stipulations, circumstances, of course, but we're not going to get all into that today. I'm going to pull that down. Now you know what waiving the right to a speedy trial is and why you might file a bunch of nonsense motions, nonsensical deny. And really, Stephan Sterns begs to remove the death penalty in the Soto case in the first place. So we're going to go over that with this court expert. And a lot of you guys wanted to even know this channel. So I wanted to bring you court authorities. I love this guy, and you guys know him. Dave Ehrenberg. He's all over everything all the time, and he's a lawyer. So let's listen up about Stephan Sterns begging to remove the death penalty in the case, period.
Of Maddie Soto, let's discuss. I'm Dave Ehrenberg, former state attorney for Palm Beach County, a.k.a. the Florida lawman here on court authorities.
There you go.
And in a true crime case that we have previously covered, Stephan Sterns is the guy in Kissimmee over in Osceola County, Florida, who allegedly brutally murdered Maddie Soto, sweet young girl who was living with her mother and her mother's boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, and sleeping in the same bed with Sterns at the behest, with the approval of the mother. And a lot of people wonder why the mother has not been charged with
tell us
the crimes, because it wasn't just murder, but it's also sexual assault, child pornography that Sterns is being charged with. He had lots of awful photos.
By the way, guys, that's called CSAM, Dave Ehrenberg. I'll have to correct you. And if he were on my show and he was actually sitting right there, I'd say, hey, Dave, it's called CSAM now. It's not called child PORN because they can't consent to it. Let's rename that. It's called CSAM. All right. Child actual material, right? Adult CSAM. Adult material. I couldn't even say it, but it's CSAM, child sexual adult material. I'm not usually saying it like that because we call it CSAM, not child PORN, because they can't consent. So let's try to change the language on that. Oh, and he even says it right here.
On his phone, including images of Maddie Soto. And so that's why he's facing two trials, one for the sex abuse and another for the murder itself. And if found guilty of the sex crimes in the first trial, that can be used against Sterns in his second trial when it comes to the
and that's what we were talking about before. If he gets, they wouldn't even let me put that word, child actual abuse material. They wouldn't let me put it in. Okay, so that's why he doesn't want to, he definitely doesn't want to even get convicted of that one first, because if he goes into the second one, then he's absolutely going to get the death penalty. Now, let's go a little bit further because we know this part.
Commit sexual abuse against a minor, you could get the death penalty. The state's not seeking it.
They're not doing that.
So this guy is, in my mind, not going to see the light of day ever again until he gets the death penalty. I do think that's likely in this case. This guy is...
Oh, it's way too separate. Not only two separate crimes, but it happened at very separate times, Krista. This was happening over the years, and it's under a child the age of 12 because it was happening before that. And I think some of the charges are even, there's another one under the age of, and that's how we know, and I don't know if it's under the age of 5 or under the age of 6, but that's how we know he had been abusing her since way back when, because he has it documented. And not only that, Krista, there were other children on those videos and on the images that he had. So that's one trial, and the second trial is taking Maddie's life, which was at a whole separate time, right? He began the abuse years and years and years before, and then he committed the allegedly taking of Maddie's life later on. Now, Savage Barbie, they're both punishable by the death penalty. However, Florida has decided not to do that in this case, not to do the CSAM stuff with the death penalty, because it's such a new thing that they've changed. That's a new law that they've changed. That punishment wasn't like that not too long ago. All right.
Uniquely despicable. According to the allegations, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but the allegations are so awful, and not going to get into all the details at this point, but I do want to talk about his attempt to try to save his life. He does not want the death penalty. His lawyers are bending over backwards to try to avoid capital punishment in this case. And so for those who think, well, capital punishment is the easy way out, life imprisonment is worse, not for Stephan Sterns. He doesn't want the death penalty. And so he and his lawyers are challenging Florida's death penalty statute as unconstitutional.
Of course he is. And Bree just brought something up too about Stephan Sterns wanting a different set of jurors for each phase of the trial, which I don't even know. I didn't even realize that was possible. And I think that it's gonna get a big fat denied. That means the first set of jurors that convict the crap out of him and they hear all the evidence won't be the same as the one in the penalty phase. So when the penalty phase comes, it's either going to be life in prison without parole or the death penalty. Now I'm just making this up. I don't know what they're going to charge. I don't know what they're asking for besides the death penalty, but they usually have an option of what it's going to be. It's either life or death. In his case, it's probably going to be life without the possibility of parole and death. That's ludicrous to have two separate jurors, two separate different jury pools, because it's just, for number one, it's a waste of time, waste of money, and they don't get to hear about all the heinous stuff. Now I didn't know that was possible either, but that's what he wants apparently. So let's keep going. Denied.
Even though the statute they're challenging was enacted in 1996, so we're talking about nearly 29 years of the statute. Now he's trying to say it's unconstitutional because it's vague. The aggravators that are required to be shown are vague. And he doesn't like the aggravator that says that if you're found guilty of another crime, even if it's from the same acts, the same incident, for example, he's been charged with sexual abuse and the murder of Maddie Soto. And so he's saying you can't use the sexual abuse to get him the death penalty for the murder because both occurred at the same times. It's the same incident.
No, it didn't. That wasn't in the same incident. It's way before. So yeah, that's going to be denied. There's a big denied. Now, I love how you did that. Thank you, Sherry. Did a QQQJ. So if any of you guys ever have questions like that, and first of all, if you have questions and you ever want to super chat me, I'm going to answer that question. But if you don't have the means, hit the like button and hit QQQJ. And then ask me a question. Now, sometimes you're going to get kicked out you'll be timed out if you do a bunch of caps. So try not to do a bunch of caps. Just say QQQJ and ask me a question. Okay. Because the caps will get you tossed out. But Sherry, do you know if they identified any other victims on his phone? I do not know that for a fact. I know they did identify that there were many other victims. I'm going to probably say, in my opinion, they didn't identify them particularly. I don't think they were victims that were in his circle. I don't think it was one of Maddie's friends or somebody that came over or anything like that. I think it was material that he was trading on Telegram and all the other things. So I'm going to have to say they identified other children, but probably not exactly who it is, in my opinion. All right. So thank you for doing the QQQ. Perfect example, minus the all caps. We don't need all caps because I don't want you guys to get kicked out. Different jurors for different stages of two separate juries for each separate trial, because that would make more sense to me. Either way, what a weirdo, right? Welcome, Kylie. Always good to see you, my girl. Let's go.
Even if you're put on trial for both crimes at the same time, if you're convicted of one, it can be used against you to get the death penalty for the other. So Florida law has been like this for a while, and I don't see him overturning it, especially with the courts in Florida, which are much more conservative than they used to be. Governor DeSantis has appointed most of the members of the Florida Supreme Court. It's a 6-1 conservative majority on this court, and they're very pro-death penalty. This guy's no chance. His only chance is to convince one juror not to give him the death.
And of course, I'll answer as many questions as I can. Right now, we only have 250 people in chat, what makes it really easy for me to control that. So I will answer. The housemate, as a matter of fact, probably will press charges on him at some point. If the court just says, hey, you know what? You should press charges on him. It's going to help XYZ with this case. Abso-freaking-lutely. She could even take him to civil court and try to get some money out of his parents, maybe. Maybe the parents will help him. She can't sue the parents, but she can sue him civilly, and she can also absolutely press charges on him for doing that. And it would be helpful. But if they say it's not, and it's just going to be something that's going to take up a bunch of time, then she won't. But yes, absolutely she can, of course. We've talked about that before. Jay, do you think the judge makes Stephan Sterns show up in court for the trial? Yes. Anything else? No. All right, let's keep going. I'm on a limited time.
But even then, Florida changed the law. It's no longer unanimous. It now only has to be 8-4.
There you
for
go.
The death penalty. So
even better.
Could he convince
8-4, baby.
5 jurors not to give him the death penalty? I don't think so. I think this one is headed for the ultimate punishment. And for those of us who have been following this case, not a lot of us are going to shed a tear for this guy.
Soto.
According to Court TV, prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for Sterns for the murder of 13-year-old Maddie Soto, his girlfriend's daughter. Sterns is separately facing dozens of charges that he sexually abused Soto after more than 1,500 photos and videos were found on his phone. The two cases are being tried separately, and Sterns is scheduled to stand trial for the...
No, that's just barely on his phone, you guys. Those are 1,500 on his phone in the cloud. They still have that hard drive that came from Daddy Sterns and Mommy Sterns' house. So they're being tried separately. We know that. We don't need to see all those words on there. Sterns' attorney in the taking of Maddie's life filed 3 separate motions on Thursday. Now there's a whole bunch more, but 3 separate motions seeking to have the death penalty disqualified. So not 1, not 2, but 3 different ones, arguing it's unconstitutional. All 3 motions, like we just talked about, have different aspects of the 1996 Florida statute that outline aggravating factors or overly vague, which I don't know how you can be overly vague in this case with all the information that they have and all the photos. Arbitrary and inconsistent matter is what they're saying. All right.
You first have the trial phase, the guilt phase, where you are put on trial, and then if you are proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt the murder, then it goes to the penalty phase. And the penalty phase, that jury comes back and hears aggravators, meaning statutory requirements to get the death penalty, like the age of the victim. Is the victim a child? Was sexual abuse involved? Was the crime heinous, atrocious, and cruel? So certain things that you have to prove, and you got to prove that before the unanimous jury. That's got to be unanimous. So all it takes is one aggravator to be found by the jury unanimously, then you're eligible for the death penalty. You've got to prove at least one aggravator unanimously to be eligible for the death penalty. And if you can prove multiple ones, that gives you an even better shot. And then the defense.
And there's so many aggravating factors in this case. Now, with a CSAM case, there's a ton of aggravating factors. Younger children of a certain age, de-rugging them, and probably so many more that I can't even think of. But now if you go into the death penalty one where he took her life, oh yeah, when you're transporting a body around and you got it in the trunk for hours and you're driving around and you're this and that of a corpse and you go back to the scene and so many other things that happen, there's going to be a lot of aggravating factors in that case. With the minor, that trust in her, that's a big aggravating factor, you guys. When somebody that your child trusts for years and years and that is in a position of authority does something like that, oh yeah, you go to Florida and commit that crime and you will definitely be on your way to death row. Thank you, Rosie. Choo choo. I appreciate you. And good to see you, MM. I hope you're doing well. I just looked him up. His video goes way back. All right, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but welcome, everybody. Welcome. Hit the like button.
Defense can put on any mitigator, and the mitigator can be anything. See, unlike the aggravators, which are statutory, mitigators can be anything. It could be his mother didn't love him enough. Remember the Parkland killer, Marty Stoneman Douglas High School? Awful.
TBI. They're going to use the TBI. They're going to use the traumatic brain injury, you guys. And you know that. You know they're going to. And yes, Kathy. Yes, it does. I should use that face that you're using in your little thing. Let's grow so fast. I just got one and it's already like back again. What the heck, guys? Of a corpse, right? We don't know exactly what happened with that, but yeah. And hello to you. I need more wine or a dispensary that delivers. DoorDash, baby, DoorDash. Dave needs to hire a designer for his office. I'm available. Just saying. Well, I think he's single and he does have this channel. It was Court TMT or something like that, and now it's court authorities. So he goes on a lot of different channels. We can probably get him on this channel for you, Ashley, and then we can talk to him about designing his office. If you like that, double share this video with 2 of your friends. All right, love you guys. Let's keep going.
Full tragedy on Valentine's Day a few years ago. I'm not even going to mention this guy's name because we care more about victims here on court authorities than we do these killers. But
yes,
in that case, the defense lawyer said that his mother used to smoke and do drugs while he was in the womb.
Mitigating factor.
That was one of his mitigators. So they're saying, well, that's led to his terrible behavior. And in the end, enough jurors bought it where he was spared the death penalty. Now, that was under the old law where you could have 3 jurors say, no, I don't want to give this guy the death penalty, and that's it. He doesn't get the death penalty. Now, you can have up to 4 jurors say no, and it's still good enough for the death penalty. 8-4 is all that's needed in Florida to get the death penalty in the penalty phase. So it's a lot easier now than it used to be. So according to Court TV, among the
and I'll read that myself just so we don't we can spare the words. Yeah, all the good ones are taken, you guys. Michelle Lander, look at that. You can identify that. That thing like never comes off. It's been on for so long I can't even get it off. So it's always nice to have a wedding band so people know, right out the gate. We'll look for his hand again and see. That's funny though. Yes, they are already in the paperwork. You guys, okay, what proof of evidence have they got him for the M? Good question. We haven't got into a lot of that yet, but a lot of things they have for the taking of Maddie's life is the text, the pings that he's got, the whatever he was wearing, his steps taken that day, the video of Maddie's mouth being open and her already not being alive in the car, him taking her body. I say her body because she was already not alive, taking her body, throwing over her shoulder and putting it in the trunk, and then driving around with her in the back, going back to the apartment with Maddie in the trunk. Stephan Sterns has got a lot of bad things on him. Now, Chief Rocca says, I heard last week Richard Allen might get off in Delphi. I don't think so. Let's hope not. No. They've got the right guy, in my opinion. All right. Among the aggravating factors, this is good to know. Among the factors that are aggravating are expected to introduce, of course, Madeline Soto's age, the relationship with her as an authority figure, like I said, and the alleged S abuse, which would serve as a prior conviction if Sterns is found guilty on the charges ahead of the trial that took her life, which is what we hope. One of Sterns' motions notes that there's nothing to prevent a conviction for being applied as an aggravating factor, even if that conviction arises from the same criminal episode as the capital felony, and even if the capital and other charges are tried together, which is fantastic. It shouldn't matter if they are tried together or not. It would be nice if all of this was tried together, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be. All right, I read this to you. Let's see Dave as we wrap this up. I want to plug his channel at Court Authorities, and hopefully we can get him on as a guest. Bree.
same time. But first off, the sexual abuse with over 1,500 photos occurred over a longer period of time. It just wasn't one episode. But even if it was, the Florida law has been clear since 1996. You're allowed to do this. You're allowed to piggyback. It's been upheld and will continue to be upheld with this very conservative Supreme Court. So his motions aren't going anywhere, in my view, and we'll be watching for the trial. Florida has broad public records and discovery.
All right, we love you, Dave. He's from Florida and the area, and I always love his information because of that. And I just like him as a person. I see him on a lot of different channels. I like the way he breaks things down and explains it. So let's keep following Mr. Dave Ehrenberg. Now, this is great. I love some of these that she came out with, and I have a lot more content actually for you guys. I might save that for tomorrow so we can talk about the pre-trial, and hopefully I'll be able to stream something. But when I talk about these, look at her face. I got her of judge, jury, executioner, and then this was a great video. Let's go through some of this. I have a hard stop around 5:30, 5:40. So let's see if we can get through some of the cool things because we're doing it together today. There's 263 people in chat. And as you know, I came in, I was on fire. I was on fire earlier, as a matter of fact, before I even got onto this. So I'm on fire now about this case for Maddie Soto. And don't forget, hashtag Naziah Harris, you guys. All right. So it's just at court authorities, Sadie's mama, at court authorities. Spell that out, court authorities. All right. Let's watch some of this together. I really liked what she did here. She doesn't, Paula, thank you. And I put her channel in my description. She doesn't have an interactive channel because she doesn't go live. So she laid this out to be interactive. So we're going to do this together as much as we possibly can. Let me speed her up a little so that way we have time to get through as much as we possibly can. Let's see how this goes.
You would deny and
oh my god, I slowed it down and it's so loud. That's funny. It was all the way up. That was the funniest thing all day. I thought I said 1.25 and I said 0.25.
which ones you would approve or half deny, half approve. I'm just pulling out the highlights. I'm not going through every single, 55 motions or whatever. And I also want to talk to you about what I'm calling the missing interview with this guy, Chase Leonard.
And didn't we get this one, Bree? We actually got this one. And thank you, Bree. We got the missing interview with Chase Leonard on our own. Now, that was funny. Yeah. So it reminds me of the zombie movies. Brains. Okay, Ashley, thank you so much for the $9.99 super sticker. Choo choo. I appreciate you. I hate even saying this, but Jay for Justice got that. She's the one that got that video exclusively. Again, we do have it. If they play it here, I'll try to play it. If not, I'll do it another day. And Jay for Justice, I gotta tell you, I had it for you. I was like, woo, go girl. I'm always rooting for everybody. But then when you start making videos about me and talking trash, then, I'm going to have to give you 2 thumbs down. So whatever. Let's keep going. Yeah, you got plundered drunk. That was funny. That really was funny. All right, let's keep going.
Interviewed with a couple of YouTubers. I'm going to put their links below. Great interview. He calls himself a man who was as close as Stephan's brother. So I keep looking for Chase Leonard's interview with police, and I don't see it. I want to cover a little bit what he told the YouTubers and what we can potentially expect Chase to say if he ever testifies on the stand. And we'll talk about the reasons perhaps why the police may not have interviewed Chase. And let's talk about the smoke that Stephan Sterns' attorneys have for YouTubers and TikTokers. All these motions, oh my goodness. But I'm just pulling out the highlights or the motions that make.
And again, that's what we went over in the very beginning. We just came in and blasted them because you saw that folder. If you guys need to go back and rewatch, or you're part of the rewatch crew, go back, take a look at the screen. I'd be here for like 8 hours going through this stuff, and then I'd still have to come back and go through some more. So we're going to see what she's highlighting. I think they're a bit different than ours, and every single person has talked about something different. Auntie Ree, welcome everybody with a grain of salt until they prove their classiness or lack thereof. You're classy, Jay. Thank you, Auntie Ree. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. I can always use that, a comment after getting blasted all the time on YouTube. Nancy Grace is OG, right? I feel like an OG too. Don't get me wrong.
Made me angry, or those that are kind of like, oh yeah, that's probably standard. I'm not a lawyer, but some lawyers out there are saying it's standard, and some stuff that's really, that could be evidence, and that CSAM case must be. These are the times I'm glad I'm just a YouTube presenter and not a person who has to view that kind of evidence. But God bless the people that do view that type of evidence, especially the ones who are seeking justice for Maddie Soto. Maddie Soto, she was only 13 years old. She was reported missing on February 26, 2024. Eventually, her mother's boyfriend, Stephan Sterns, was arrested and charged with her murder and all these other horrific crimes against her. He's finally, hopefully, going to trial, perhaps sometime this year, 2025. It says the remaining set of depositions are scheduled in the CSAM trial for April 10th, 2025. The defense has filed several motions to suppress that are pending, I'm sure, and a speedy trial in this case has been waived. It says they're filing this motion in good faith and not for the purpose of delay. I do believe them there. Remember, cops said they found a crazy amount of horrific photos. Stephan Sterns allegedly had this folder, Madeline, on his Google Drive somewhere that contained at least 1,700 images, videos, I don't know the breakdown, of Maddie alone. And then on other external drives or what have you, they found 35,000 images.
Okay, and she's right, 35,000. Earlier I was like, did I say that right? So 35,000 other individual photos that had other children, you guys. So that gives you a good perspective on the children and probably not being anybody close to the family or Maddie's friends. It was probably children that he was trading pictures with on Telegram and all these, apps. And I don't know if it's the dark web, it's considered that, but it is definitely a dark web. So that many of Maddie just in a folder alone, and then a ton of other ones. And Jen, where's Jen Soto? Go back and watch my video, Indy Isham. I have Where is Jen Hiding Out? She's hiding out at Sister Stephanie's house. All right. And we showed a picture of it. We talked all about it. So she's hiding out with the family. All right, let's keep going.
Is perhaps the videos too of other children. Imagine all of that evidence to cover. They say the state does not object to this motion to continue, and the defense would request this case be set for a status date as to the scheduling of the defense's pending motions hearing. They're going to need a lot of motions hearings, as many motions as his defense team is putting in, or they want a pretrial conference date that would allow for the completion of these items. That's from Melissa Vickers. She is the one writing so many of these motions.
I don't like his lawyers already.
Now, flipping over to Stephan Sterns' murder case, the motion that angered me the most, the one I pray and hope in Jesus that the judge strikes it down right away and denies this motion, a motion for closure of all pretrial proceedings. So it's saying Stephan Sterns, basically he's trying to move the court to enter an order to close all pretrial proceedings to the press and the public. This is where they come for YouTubers and TikTokers, all of us who have been on this case every day. Ever since we heard of Madeline being missing, I think she is emblematic and a symbol of so many children who have just been treated horribly, who have lost their lives at the hands of predators. And I think she represents this symbolic victim. And I think so many people can relate to her, unfortunately, because they went through some of the same treatment she's gone through, obviously. And it's just, some people are just attached to this case. So Stephan's lawyers are saying this case has been the subject of unprecedented and highly prejudicial publicity. So, already they're saying, okay, you YouTubers, you TikTokers, you're doing too much. I guess we're supposed to treat Stephan Sterns with kid gloves. We're supposed to treat him like Jennifer Soto treats him and, cry about him and not cry about Maddie. And, we're supposed to really want him to get a lawyer ASAP, like Jennifer Soto, his on-again, off-again girlfriend.
I love how she's being snarky as well. I really love when Paula's snarky, but how could you not be about Stephan Sterns and Jen Soto, right? I mean, absolutely ridiculous. We saw it yesterday, her rubbing Stephan Sterns, knowing that's not even how they are. You guys, they weren't even together at that time. They hadn't been intimate with each other in 6 months, she said, to say the least. She didn't really like to be because she took too many meds, TMI. Hashtag lube, hashtag slow lotion that Stephan Sterns had in that room, a giant bottle of, and she knew she wasn't sleeping in with him. Did she just think he was whacking off the cactus peen or what? What is it? Oh yeah, honey, go to bed with your stepdaddy Sterns, even with that 9mm in your top drawer and the slow lotion. I don't know. I don't know why he gets to call in the shots. And he's not calling the shots. It's his lawyers doing their job. And it's us just not really liking defense lawyers in this particular case, right? Why would you like the defense lawyer that's defending this scummy guy and even her lawyer? I don't like either one of their lawyers because we don't want them to be defended. Unfortunately, it's their constitutional right.
Requested him to have through his dad as soon as allegedly she found out what he had done to her own little daughter. Not going to happen. Anyway, Stephan's case is the subject of unprecedented and highly prejudicial publicity and media attention in Osceola County, adjacent areas of Osceola County, and a majority of the state of Florida and outside the state of Florida. Sure, true. At every court proceeding, however minor or inconsequential, there has been extensive coverage by the press as well as social media users on YouTube YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, now called X, and Facebook. Well, I wouldn't call any of his hearings inconsequential or minor.
We can do that.
I mean, people are following this case closely because they want to make sure at every step of the way Maddie gets her justice. I don't like cases that are hidden behind, no press can come in here. I understand it in terms of protecting the victims, of course. I hate to think of what happened to Abby and Libby in the Delphi case and how, yes, there was a crime scene photo that was leaked that should never have been leaked. The same thing happened apparently in Maddie's case. I do think it was a mistake when that Sheriff Lopez accidentally published on Instagram in a gallery a photo of the crime scene with Maddie. We don't want that kind of stuff to happen. So I understand that aspect of keeping the cameras out, keeping the cameras away from evidence like that, of course. But I don't consider any appearances minor or inconsequential with Stephan appearing in court. We want to see due process. We want him to have his due process. We want him to have a great defense so he can be convicted, if guilty, fairly and squarely, without saying, ineffective counsel, or without being able to reverse his conviction. The lawyers go on to say it is anticipated that the press will continue to be active and aggressive in the coverage of all events and proceedings in this case. You darn right we will, because I hate cases that are just hidden from the public, like the Delphi case. Okay, no.
Or the Chris Watts case that we're still on Watts Island because we're just like, what happened? Why was everything sealed? We're all done. So we keep going back to it. And the Delphi case, that's a whole other, please don't go back to that. That was Ron Logan was a suspect, you guys. That man's not alive anymore. That's done. It's ruled out. Richard Allen has been convicted. Let's keep him in prison. All right. You guys know how I feel about it. Thank you all for being here. If you come in or come out, hit the like button on your way in or your way out. All right. Thank you.
Cameras were allowed in the courtroom. I understand it to a degree. You want the victims to be protected, of course. However, certain cases, when they're not shown on television, it's almost like they didn't happen. We don't really know exactly what happened in the courtroom. Of course, we can rely on reporters to come out and tweet and give their impressions of what happened, but it feels like almost like the case isn't even happening. If we can't watch it streamed somewhere on Law and Crime or Court TV and just see and hear everything that's said, we do it because we want to make sure this case isn't forgotten. A lot of times, sometimes when stuff is kind of just hidden away, I feel like that's when injustice can happen because no one's really paying attention. Of course, it can happen in the O.J. Simpson trial with all those cameras watching, but I'd rather have things on camera than not be on camera. Now, the lawyers are trying to make it seem like they're protecting minor witnesses. It says, included in these discussions of Mr. Sterns' evidence will be Mr. Sterns' statements to the police, the medical examiner's findings, and potentially discussions on evidence related to statements from minor children. I'm like, come on. Do you care really about the minor child who was the victim of Stephan Sterns?
No, and every child that was in, or everybody in the case that is a victim, are children. So there you go. They just don't want it to be televised because Stephan Sterns really is, he's just a piece of lump of poop and he wants it to be hidden from everybody who he really is. He's like, it's like Lori Vallow didn't want it. They filed motions and it didn't go because of her competency. But this guy is just trying to hide out. He's ashamed. He's embarrassed. He doesn't want the jury to see the things. He doesn't want anyone to see what he did, but we all know what he did, and we want to see him get convicted. So I don't know how the CSAM case is going to go. That might not be streamed at all. We're going to have to get people going into court, writing things down, coming out. Let's see. Yeah, Viagra flesh torso. I love it. What are the numbers looking like on the petition? I will look that up in a minute. If you guys want to look at the petition, I think we're over 2,000 at this point. I'm not sure what that means or how far it's going, but I've seen cases where somebody gets arrested on something completely else. Like it would be nice to get Jennifer Soto for that COVID money, the fraud money, even the $16K that she got from the GoFundMe for Madeline Soto that she didn't use because that was donated to her. So if we can get Jen Soto on fraud charges, wouldn't that be lovely?
I understand what they're saying. We hate that Mr. Sterns is taking it this far so that minor children, their statements have to be included. But we know how this can be done. For example, we've seen other cases where, of course, if minor children are anywhere on the stand, the cameras will not show that minor child. The camera will simply give you the voice of the child to see what they're saying. They are valuable, vital witnesses, especially in a case like this where Maddie told her friends things or her friends witnessed certain things, behaviors that no one else did. So I'm kind of like, don't make it seem like you really care. Oh, we don't want those cameras in there because we got to protect the minor children or their statements or whatever. Yeah, what about the minor child at the center of this crime case? Anyway, they went on to say public dissemination of these items of evidence will prevent Mr. Sterns from receiving a fair trial. No. How can public dissemination of the evidence prevent Stephan Sterns from receiving a fair trial? I get it. You don't want this crazy mob of people coming after him, but just let the evidence speak for itself. The public can disseminate the evidence laid out. That doesn't mean he's not getting a fair trial if the public knows the evidence. Public discussion in the press in the form of news stories, polls, letters to editors, and editorials will lead to an environment which will preclude Mr. Sterns from being afforded a fair trial in Osceola County and most of the state of Florida. No, like I always say, there's a billion people out there who pay no attention to true crime, who can be called as valuable jury members and give their opinions based on the evidence and just give a fair ruling. So, counsel for Mr. Sterns feels there is no suitable alternative measure to protect Mr. Sterns' right to a fair trial under the U.S. and Florida constitutions other than closure of all pretrial hearings. Nope. I hope the judge denies this motion in.
Yeah, you guys, we all hope denied. Like she did that. I did the stamp denied. I don't have the buttons that goes. Actually, I do have those. I just need to hook up the stream deck, you guys. Yeah, the Chucky potato head. We need to do something and just smash that potato in the background. Now, Paula's bothered by different motions, which I'm glad. I'm glad that she's talking about that. Now, separate trials, separate juries' evidence can be omitted or suppressed. Right, and that's what they're trying to do. The evidence can be omitted or suppressed. That's what they're doing with the motions. But there's particular motions that are just nonsensical, and there are things that are going to slow it down, and there's things that just I don't think that are even that are going to happen at all. It's just to put things in the way, and you put it out there and you hope for it. But that's why we're doing the denied or not denied. What do you think?
In full, with the only caveat being, of course, extra protection for minor statements. Pretrial hearings, will any minors appear there or just their audio interviews? Okay, protect the children. We've redacted children's names. We know to take extra steps on how to protect minors. That's nothing new in the court's terminology that ought to be used instead is homicide. So fine, whatever. If I were a judge, maybe it'd be like, fine, get that. You give them that, whatever, defense. You want that? Fine, take homicide. Technically correct. We don't know his intent. The problem here is, maybe it's not fine because there could be some premeditation involved. So maybe I would deny that motion too, actually, now that I think about it, because what was going on with Stephan Sterns that Saturday prior to Maddie's birthday party? Why was he freaking out? Why was she sad? Was something happening? If he had gotten her in trouble, so to speak, did he
he's trying to get the premeditated throw out. And you see, we spent half an hour going through ridiculous motions and talking about what the ridiculous motions are and saying denied, but we didn't even go through this one. This is absolutely ludicrous for him to try to get the premeditated homicide out of it. He's saying, what? It's not premeditated? Okay, well, Demon Sterns, if it wasn't premeditated, then what happened? What did happen? Did you snap in the heat of passion? Did Jen come in and do something while was it jealousy? It wasn't premeditated, then what was it? Demon Sterns. I don't understand why you can say one thing without saying another. Let's not call it premeditated. Yeah, it's like a dick punch to him. That's exactly what he said it was. My goodness. All right, let's go a little bit forward.
And the Sadducees and the hypocritical religious leaders of his day. Jesus could clap back at them. What did he call them? Whitewashed men tombs full of old
Denied.
men's bones. I mean, Jesus could clap back at some people. So they're pulling up the
Clap back.
holy letter of this Holy Father Francis and referencing in the New Testament while individuals are asked
What?
not to take justice into their own hands. There's also a recognition of the need for authorities to impose penalties on evildoers. They have all these
Yes.
references. They reference
Yes.
Romans 12:17. I was like, I gotta look up these references and see what they're talking about. Romans 12:17 rather
Yes.
says, do not repay anyone evil for evil, but take thought for what is noble in the sight of all. I always thought that was Romans 12:21 says something like that. Don't repay evil for evil. That's it. Romans 12:21. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. I always think of that as 12,
Right.
sent
Next.
by him to punish those who do wrong and to praise those who do right. So that's kind of saying, look, give deference to the judge and the laws of your land, the people above you. They're making these laws for Christian writings and historical writings.
Okay.
They reference this other
Next
case,
one,
a death
next one.
penalty case, where a witness made an emotional outburst on the stand during her testimony. Yeah, I could see that happening in cases. I mean, it's a death penalty.
That happens in a lot of cases. And you know what? The judge tells you don't do that. And sometimes it happens. I mean, they're trying to control every aspect of this trial from the beginning of jury selection to in the middle of jury selection and then after opening statement. I mean, this is ridiculous. When you guys see all the motions that were filed, it's like the most minuscule of things that is just, like I said, I truly believe that it was because he didn't waive his right to a speedy trial and it was ready to go. It was fired up, and the attorney came in and said, we haven't heard everything. We haven't seen everything. There is no way we're going to go in there and try to and get you off of the death penalty at all unless we can go through all this stuff. We're going to put all these out there. We're going to see what shit sticks to the wall, right? You've heard that. Throw shit at the wall and make it stick. And if it doesn't, then that's what you get left from. All right, Gemini, love you from Canada. What's up? I got 2 Canadian mods here. So, yeah, welcome. All right, let's keep going.
Penalty case, the defendant's motion for a mistrial was denied. Upon review, the court said that because it was unable to, quote, glean from the record how intense the witness's outburst was at trial, the court had to defer to the trial court's ruling on the intensity and impact of the outburst. Makes sense. Everything needs to be on video, in my opinion. So I would totally agree with this motion. Sure, video record all the victim impact evidence you want. Some of these things, I think, are going to backfire on the defense. Of course, emotional outbursts during victim impact statements. I think of the woman who had that big outburst during Jeffrey Dahmer's, I believe it must have been the sentencing phase.
I've
and she's
showed
like,
that.
I hate you, Jeffrey. You know, we've all seen it. And she's running over.
Oh, I played that on my channel for you all because that one was just fantastic. Yes, Canada, baby. That was fantastic. And yeah, it was a huge outburst in court that goes in history. Was that a problem? Yes, but that's what they're trying to do when they're going to hit and they're going to have emotions with the people that are so very angry at not even only Stephan Sterns, but Jen Soto, you guys. I feel like the mob is almost more angry at Jennifer Soto for not protecting her daughter than Stephan Sterns. And I'll tell you why. Because when I do have a show that's labeled Jen Soto, I get 2 to 3 times as many more people that are packed on this channel, ready to burn her at the stake and just talking so much. And Stephan Sterns, it's like, okay, we think we know he did it allegedly. We know he's going to court. Here are the, we get to listen to the legal jargon and all the BS that the straws he's, picking at or the shit sticking to the wall. We know. But Jen Soto is the actual demon and the villain. And I don't think we're far from wrong on that because she was the one, in my opinion, that was the puppet master. All right. With that in mind, let's keep going.
To him, and the bailiffs are, controlling her. So in Sterns' case, it says, similarly, there is a high likelihood of intense emotion during the presentation of victim impact evidence. As such, a video recording of the testimony is the best evidence that can be produced in order to have meaningful appellate review. I get it. I would approve definitely this if I were the judge. Everything on video is good because, yeah, you can't just read writing. That's why I want the pre-trial hearing, all the coverage on film, allowed to be broadcast everywhere. Because something in writing saying, oh, this person had an emotional outburst, that tells us nothing. But to see, for example, the
Right.
woman who's like, I hate
Exactly.
you, Jeffrey, and the way she screamed and she shook and she ran over to him and everything,
I
that
love
tells us
that.
a lot more.
That was
Video
great.
and audio is everything. Just writing is kind of like, okay, depending on, you trying to describe something, it's not meaningful.
And listen up, folks. If they're going to get a person in court to draw those, they're going to get a courtroom artist. Please say a prayer that they do not get the courtroom artist that did the Lori Vallow case. Please. That was the worst drawings I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not one to pick at people's art, you guys, but I don't know where she came from. They should have called Jay from Guilty of Crime. I would have done a much better job. That was the worst court drawings I've seen in my entire life. I don't know what happened. I don't know if all the court reporters were busy that day or the court artists, but that was awful. So let's pray that that doesn't happen and they don't get her, okay? Because, terrible.
Of course, they want it to have as evidence for if he does get convicted and on appeal, they want to be able to say, here's this evidence. And for whatever reason, they want to say, oh, for this reason, maybe he should win his appeal, even though it probably won't work, but fine. Put everything on video. Now, this was interesting.
Allow presentation of victim impact to be presented only.
Stephan Sterns' lawyers want the presentation of victim impact statements to be presented only at the Spencer hearing. Only at the Spencer hearing, should one be necessary. No. It says because victim impact statements are inevitably and inherently extremely emotional, as they should be, and have a high probability of unduly, unfairly, and unconstitutionally prejudicing and inflaming the jury. Well, I don't agree with that. If a person is upset, perhaps you hear the ice storm coming. I hear the rain against my window. Ice storm in the Midwest. If a person is very upset, okay, let's say Maddie's grandmother, Yolanda, gives an impact statement, or her granddad, Juan, and of course they would break into tears. First of all, Stephan Sterns' defense attorney doesn't even want them reading their own impact statements. Another one we'll get to, which I think should be banished. Anyway, of course you're going to get emotional if Juan, for example, starts crying and saying, I remember all the time I spent with Maddie and I helped her learn how to ride her bike and I hate you, Sterns, and that kind of stuff is natural. Will it unconstitutionally inflame the jury? No, it'll put them in his shoes for a minute to say, look how much this accused person took away from this family. Look at this life he's accused of taking. Look at the impact. I mean, that's the reason they're there. As such, allowing the jury to hear prior to rendering a verdict on the penalty any such statements violates a defendant's rights.
It actually doesn't, and that one's going to be denied, folks. I don't think I've ever seen. I've never seen a trial that is one of this stature. We'll say that is a single person that you took their life and a premeditated homicide, which what they're charging of, that they didn't allow victim impact statements. There are cases that have certain circumstances where it's like a whole, let's say, community was impacted, which would have been like the Jeffrey Dahmer one, and they still let them do the victim impact statement. So let's say like a school shooter, right? Or any kind of shooter, the Vegas shooter that he took his own life, but just think about that. All right. We're going to get you as a courtroom artist if they hire the same one as the Lori Vallow one, because that lady was off her rocker the whole time. I couldn't even tell who was Lori Vallow and who was the judge. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, let's keep going. Sorry to rant about that, but my goodness.
To a fair trial and due process. This whole Spencer hearing thing was new to me. Of course, I had to Google it. According to this online paralegal degree website.org, it's saying Spencer hearings are a relatively recent legal innovation. It's emerged in Florida, in the Florida criminal system. Florida's always doing wild stuff, aren't they? Since the state Supreme Court's ruling regarding a case in 1993. Essentially, these hearings give defendants an opportunity to provide additional evidence to change the penalties imposed by sentencing. And the prosecution also participates in the hearing and may also exhibit evidence to support the penalties initially imposed by.
So tomorrow is his pretrial hearing, Deanna. So tomorrow, February 12th, 2025 is the pretrial hearing. And then September 22nd, 2025 is supposed to be the one for the premeditated murder. I doubt that's going to happen with this flurry of motions coming out. So there's a strategy. You guys that missed the beginning, go back and watch it. We absolutely talked about the cell phone motion. It's absolutely ludicrous in my opinion. And I think in other creators' opinions, Paula, I know that that Grizzly did a whole video just on that. And we think that it's just them doing a technicality and trying to see what ish sticks out the wall, you guys. What's up, Thomas? How you doing there, my friend? All right, Sadie's mama, Jen's a gypsy. Yeah, headed off our rockers. Look at this. He looks just like a weird, evil guy in this picture. I wish I could zoom in on him. You guys see his big old teeth and his little beady eyes that we want to all punch in the face?
By the jury's decision. So I'm like, what's the big difference in a Spencer hearing? I don't know. Maybe they just want it broken out. I was thinking, could a Spencer hearing be more secretive, or what's the point? What's the advantage? But it traces back to this case of Spencer versus Florida, where the defendant in the case was accused and convicted of the first-degree murder of his wife, in addition to aggravated assault and other felony charges. Okay, so Spencer opposed the jury's initial conviction, carrying the weight of the death penalty, claiming that inappropriate aggravating circumstances were considered during the trial. I wonder which ones. So he appealed the court's decision to the Florida Supreme Court, which remanded the case back to the judge to reconsider the application of the death penalty. Spencer and his attorneys used the hearing to present several arguments to prove significant mitigating circumstances, including, this is what I thought Stearns is going to use, including the influence of a mental disturbance and the inability to understand the morality of his own actions at the time. While the judge overseeing the hearing ultimately confirmed the decision of the jury, it still set a precedence for future cases. So I get it. Okay, fine. Have your Spencer hearing. It didn't work for Mr.
Now, I'm going to speculate that court's going to be around 9 a.m. in Florida. I'm speculating that because they normally don't start court hearings before that. And when there's a court hearing that's this important that everybody's going to watch, it usually gets a first row seat first time. Okay, so you guys that just came in or you're new to my channel, Monday through Friday, I'm on typically at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. What did Bree say? Bree said, Jay, it's almost that time. I know. I got to get out of here in like 5 minutes, guys. So let's keep going. Now, Bree, it says 9 a.m. tomorrow. Watch out for it. I do not have a link to it, but guess what, people? WESH 2 or local channel 2's WESH has been covering it. Just all the local Florida news stations have been covering it. I'm sure Grizzly's going to cover it. Her time frame's crazy. At 9 a.m. tomorrow, it's my 6 a.m. So, oh my goodness, my guy Paul. What's up, Papa Paul? Good to see you, my man. Good to see you, my papa. All right, let's keep going. I gotta get through this.
Spencer, who was convicted apparently of murdering his wife, and he still got the death penalty. But I think they're going to play around with that. Okay, these mitigating circumstances, like we've already seen. Stephan has a TBI, and he didn't know right from wrong. He has a mental disturbance. He didn't understand the morality of what he did to Maddie. I'm not going to cuss right here, but it makes me want to. So I don't think that'll work. I mean, they can approve it. Fine, give this man his Spencer hearing. That doesn't mean he'll get the death penalty thrown out. Then there's this motion for victim impact statements to be read by a neutral party. I would be like, no, I'd turn this one down. A victim impact statement is not an aggravating factor, and the jury should be so instructed. Even with such an instruction, having a neutral party read the victim impact statements can further minimize the potential for the emotional nature of these statements to improperly influence the jury. Nope. If I were the judge in this case, I would strike this down. The only time
That's so dumb, you guys, to have. Why would anyone even put that? That would completely take away from the victim impact statements and actually getting some semblance of closure, which you don't even get with that anyway. It's not like you're bringing that person back. He wants somebody else to read the victim impact statements instead of them, so there's no emotion. Oh, yes, Demon Sterns. No, I'm sure there was a lot of emotion in little Maddie when she was little itty bitty and you were making her do things for her cell phone activity. You gave her 2-3 minutes if she would give you a BJ for a little bit of time. This guy, go back and think of that. I'm from Dubai. I understand speech, but it's difficult to write in English. Justice for all, Ziana and Maddie as we. And thank you so much, Amani, for the, I don't know the AED 25, but 25 is my lucky number. So thank you. Justice for Naziah Harris. Justice for Maddie. I love that you said Ziana, but Naziah, you're watching. Thank you. Welcome from California to Dubai. Toast is nice alcoholic wine. Yes. Heartless. That is heartless. Could you imagine? Are we going to go a little bit forward? Let's see what this next one is here.
Yeah, people, obviously, they got on with that. Never mind the victims laying in a river of blood, nearly decapitated. You know, like, how can people forget about the victims? That's what I'm saying. Well, if the defense can put on such a show in a trial like OJ's, let the prosecutors put on their show too, to see, look, yes, create sympathy for Maddie. Show that video of her, that last video of her walking into the sunset.
Yes.
You don't have to vilify Stephan any more than he's vilified himself. So I know they don't want, you know, oh, this beautiful montage of Maddie playing. So what? I mean, they did it, I believe, in Stouck's case.
Yes.
Letitia Stouck, the evil stepmother, she vilified herself enough. She looked like evil incarnate. Even before she was extradited from Myrtle Beach, she was arrested. I mean, her eyes were rolling around in her head. It made my blood run cold watching that video of that woman. I can't watch it. And Gannon was a little boy, and they just played his photos, and rightly so, in court, because that's who he was. He was a sympathetic character. He was a child. Maddie was a child.
Can you imagine that? That's going to get denied, you guys. Can you imagine all of the things not being able to be put in front of the jury to see how beautiful Maddie was, and to see those pictures of when Maddie was little itty bitty person that looked up to Stephan Sterns and told people that was her stepfather. Now, stepfathers are supposed to take care of you. They have a power over you, and they're supposed to protect you. So yeah, that's going to get denied. That's ridiculous. It's almost heartless what they're doing. What happens in the dark will always be brought to the light. I agree. And that being said, with Letitia Stouck and little Gannon, that is an unbelievable story. Unbelievable how evil she was. I could not imagine having a stepmother that's supposed to be your wife that takes the life of your child. Now, that look at the difference between Gannon Stouck's real mom and real dad, and how upset they were, and how they distanced themselves from Letitia, versus Jen Soto, the grieving mom. I think not. Look at the difference. Yeah, I will. I'm gonna go get her in a few minutes. But yeah, absolutely just disgusting. All of this is disgusting. I wonder if Jen's gonna give an impact statement, you guys. What do you think? You think she's gonna go on there and talk about her beautiful Maddie and how she misses her and she can't believe that this monster took advantage of her? What's that gonna say if she doesn't do that? Let me ask you that.
Should have lived. So they're saying this type of evidence, along with evidence designed to vilify the defendant, is offered only to inflame the passions and emotions of the jury and encourage a jury to make findings and decisions based on emotion rather than a logical evaluation of the evidence. They are not mutually exclusive things. You can be emotional and you can be logical. So I can be emotional that Maddie lost her life and that's sad. And I can also view all the evidence. Stephan's, resetting his phone accidentally, and this whole Maddie folder on Google he had, and all the evidence they found, logically say, yes, this man beyond a reasonable doubt is guilty. I'm just saying, if I were a juror looking at all the evidence and figuring out what else happened that Sunday night that we don't know yet, if I came to that conclusion, I could logically come to that conclusion and also be angry. Not to the point where I'm disrupting the courtroom, but you know what I mean? I can have emotions. It's nothing wrong with crying, having emotions, feeling sorry for a victim. So yeah, this should be struck down. I think the prosecutors should be able to put up whatever they want to show what a great girl Maddie was. They're saying, take as an instance the subject of a victim's character. They're talking about, is it relevant that the deceased person was a good person? Oh, they go all into it. Does having a victim with bad character somehow become a mitigating circumstance? I understand what they're saying, but it's just going too far. Those are the main strokes of these motions, the ones that really stuck out to me. There's a lot of other boring stuff in there where it's like, yeah, whatever, maybe that's standard. Of course, you're going to try, like they said, a valid friend there. And Chris Sterns and Deborah Sterns, Stephan's parents, even talked about Chase. Chris talked about not liking Stephan's friends who weren't.
Okay, so there you go. Chase is a friend that another YouTuber got a hold of and got an interview. That's what she's talking about. We're going to listen to this for a minute and then I'm out, you guys, and I love you, and I'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen and what time, but you guys mark your calendars for tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time, and let's hope that Stephan Sterns shows up for that pretrial hearing and something comes out, something more that we want to learn about, something big. That would be awesome if something big really came out. We don't know. We don't know what's going to come out. We have no idea. We don't know if it's going to be streamed, although they have not. The judge has not approved a motion for it not to be televised, and every time it has been televised, and the only one time Stephan showed up, and he looked like an ugly little troll. He cut out his beard off, and he had a bad haircut, and he looked terrible.
Weren't like the upper crust type of associates that, you know, Chris had when he was growing up. He was like mentioning some families as if that was supposed to impress the police, I guess. But they do mention Chase Leonard. Deborah spoke of Chase during her portion of the interview where she allowed Stephan to get a tattoo of that coat of arms, family crest or whatever on his back right shoulder. She talked Stephan out of getting some stupid brand of Friends Club numbers, 521, whatever she said it was. I think she said that might have been Chase's idea. And she went on to say Stephan was attracted to big boobs and said they...
Oh my God. And you know, I'm going to say one other thing now. Well, I'll say two. Bree, I think you said we have that interview, so we're going to go ahead and listen to that. Not right now, but we're going to listen to that. And then this is, you know, Stephan's mom, I think, and I don't know if they're going to get her as a character witness for her son, but she knew what her son was doing with other women way back when, and probably up until now. She knew that she had to pay off friends in order to not get her son to go to jail because he was filming his friends' girlfriends in the bathroom. She knew that she would pay to get him out of trouble, and she knew that Stephan Sterns slept with Maddie in the bed, and she knew that Stephan Sterns slept with Jen and Maddie and Maddie in the bed as well. So all three of them. She knew that, and yet she'll go on and talk crap about her son on interviews and say he's such a liar and he did this and his torso, his sex doll bust. But I wonder what her character witness is going to be if she knew that he was such a pervert and he liked these things that were out of the norm. Why didn't she say anything to get Maddie out of that dynamic? Doesn't him making all these men just throw out his text to use brain injury canceled out? Well, here's the thing. It's not him thinking of this. This is his defense. He doesn't know left from right. He thinks he's smart, and he tries to use words like I'm meandering over there, and he tries to pretend like he's really smart, but he's not. So that's another good thing going, is he tries to pretend like he's smart. So there goes his traumatic brain injury where he doesn't know anything. Yeah, they caught old Stinky. I wonder what kind of character witness they're going to be, right? All right, you guys, I'm going to pull Paula off. I have lots and lots more plans. I have footage that I didn't get to show today, new footage that's talking about the case and where we are and different motions. Obviously, lots of different motions in there. And then I have two other interviews that we've never heard on this channel before, and the person that Chase that she was just talking about. So on that note, I love you guys. Have a good night. I'll be back, probably popping up tomorrow. I don't know when it's all going to go down. If you guys can let me know. If you see it before me, I'm 3 hours behind you. Let me know. Otherwise, everybody have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Thank you guys. Love you all. Have a good night.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?